You remember her, though she never had a name. She moved through your life like a flame wrapped in silk, soft to the eye, fatal to the touch. You didn't meet her, you collided with her, and something in you split. There is a gaze some women carry that doesn't beg to be loved, it demands to be obeyed, and then punished. A gaze that knows how to kneel without ever lowering its pride. You saw it once across the room. Or was it in a dream? Or was it your mother's face? Blurred through childhood shame. You felt it, not love, not lust, but an instinct crawling up from older bones. You didn't fall for her. You remembered her, as if she had been waiting beneath your ribs, whispering promises to the part of you that still believes pain is proof. You wanted to save her. She wanted to burn. You thought she needed softness. She needed war. And when she smiled at your kindness, it was only because she knew how easily it could be broken. No man forgets the woman who teaches him this. Some flowers only bloom for the knife. You think you were the first to desire her, but you were only the latest to fall into the trap she sets without intention, without mercy. The truth is simpler than your pride allows. She does not want safety. She wants the trembling edge of danger, the promise of being consumed. She blooms when she bleeds, and you, fool that you are, offered her petals when she hungered for thorns. You met her with softness. She met you with silence. You mistook that silence for gentleness, for a hidden sweetness waiting to be unlocked by patience. But it was never shyness. It was calculation. Her silence was the pause before the strike, the moment the sea holds its breath before dragging the ship under. And you, like every man raised on lies about what women truly want, believed you could be her refuge. You believed you were different, but she has no need for sanctuaries. She seeks the storm. You cannot tame what wants to be broken, and she does not love men who kneel. She only loves those who dare to stand, and in standing, awaken her rage. You saw her eyes glisten not when you comforted her, but when you defied her. That smile you thought was gratitude, no, it was hunger. It was the smile of a lioness who finally found a beast worthy of battle. Do you remember how quickly your tenderness bored her, how your certainty made her drift? She did not leave because you lacked love. She left because you lacked danger. She left because your hands trembled for her soul when she only respected those who could crush her illusions. She needed to feel overpowered not with fists, but with presence, not with charm, but with will. The feminine does not yield to comfort. It opens to conquest. And what of her tears? They come like prayers, like traps. You thought they were sacred, but they were rituals, weapons, performances inherited through centuries of unspoken war. A woman cries not only from sorrow, but from control, from knowing that each tear makes you softer, more obedient, more eager to prove that you are not like the others. But she does not want you to be unlike them. She wants you to become what she fears and still remain. She wants to dance with the blade, not be shielded from it. She will provoke you. She will test the edge of your calm, not to ruin it, but to see if it hides a deeper fire. The moment you flinch, she will know. The moment you explain yourself, she will lose respect. The moment you offer peace when she demands polarity, she will begin to vanish. She wants to be shattered, but only by a man who remains whole. She longs to surrender, but not to softness, to strength, to certainty, to danger that does not beg to be forgiven. This is not romantic. It is ancient. It is brutal, and you already know it. Though your culture told you otherwise, look into yourself. Honestly, the woman you cannot forget, was it the gentle one, or the cruel one who pierced you with a glance and disappeared before you could understand her? She left you wrecked, not because she was evil, but because she was real. She embodied what all the myths have buried: the feminine is not fragile, It is devouring, and it hungers for the real man in you, not the polite shadow you've been trained to perform. She will never say this aloud. She may not even know it, but her body knows, her instincts know, her choices scream what her words deny. She says she wants a listener and then dreams of the man who won't explain himself. She says she wants peace and then returns to the war zone, again and again. She says she wants softness, and yet she floods for the man whose presence slices through her masks like lightning through fog. You think you are protecting her by being gentle, but what if your gentleness is cowardice in disguise? What if your kindness is the mask you wear to avoid the responsibility of being dangerous? She doesn't need protection. She needs intensity. The feminine awakens in contrast, not in similarity. It yearns for the sun because it has tasted shadow. It opens to the knife not because it wishes to die, but because in dying it feels alive. It is not the pain she craves, but the truth that arrives with it sharp, merciless, undeniable. You can call this toxic. You can run back to your therapists, your scripts, your slogans about safe love and conscious communication, but something deeper in you will always ache when you remember her. Not because she hurt you, but because you were not enough to awaken her completely, because she walked away untouched by your offerings, because your love was clean, but not holy, because you never became the danger she wanted to surrender to. She may be with someone now who treats her better, who listens, who supports, but her eyes are dull, her laughter delayed. She lives in the safety she claimed to want, and her soul is starving. And somewhere, deep inside, you both know she would have burned for you, if only you had dared to burn her illusions to the ground. You cannot love a woman like this halfway. You must become the abyss that stares back. You must be the storm, the flame, the command. Not out of cruelty, but out of truth, because she is not waiting to be saved. She is waiting to be ruined beautifully, completely, irreversibly by the man who is not afraid to stand in his full violence of presence and say, "This is what I am." Kneel or flee. There is no middle ground. There is no compromise. There is only the flower and the knife, and you, standing in the silence, must decide which you are. She already has. She never wanted the truth. She wanted a version of it that still let her win. A myth with just enough light to flatter her reflection, and just enough shadow to keep her innocent. You watched her lips move like scripture, speaking of loyalty, of love, of sacred union, and yet something in her eyes betrayed the ritual, something ancient, something more primal than the virtues she recited. You didn't know then that the feminine does not crave love. She craves leverage, and what she calls love is often nothing more than the mirror she holds up to keep you dancing in your own illusion. You believed her when she cried, when she said, "I just want to feel safe," but it was never safety she longed for. It was supremacy cloaked in need, power draped in fragility. She knew, maybe not consciously, but instinctually, that pain could be currency, that a tear at the right moment could collapse your defenses, that the more guilt you carried, the more you would strive to be the man she described, not the man you are. And so you changed, you softened, you listened too much. You shrank yourself to fit into her story of what a good man should be, and she began to wither, not because you stopped loving her, but because you stopped being dangerous. She didn't want your apologies. She wanted the fire you hid behind them. She wanted to feel the spine beneath your smile. Instead, you handed her the mirror and let her decorate it with fantasies. She painted you into a prince, but you were never meant to wear that costume. You were meant to be the dragon. You were meant to test her soul against the heat of your presence, not vanish beneath her comfort. Every time she said, "I just want honesty," what she meant was, "Lie to me in a way I can believe." You mistook her sensitivity for truth, but truth does not flinch. Her hurt was real, but not sacred. Her emotions were genuine, but weaponized. She did not cry because you harmed her. She cried because your refusal to bend meant she could not control you, because your silence did not mirror her pain, because your defiance threatened the world she had spent her life constructing, a world where women are always victims and men are always to blame. You tried to prove her wrong gently. That was your mistake. You thought logic could reach her where instinct rules. You tried to explain, to reason, to clarify, but she was never looking for clarity. She was looking for submission, for worship, for a confession. She wanted you to kneel and admit that you were the villain in her play, even if you were not, because only then would her role make sense. Only then could she preserve her innocence. And yet, she hated you more each time you gave in. That's the paradox. She demands obedience but despises the obedient. She punishes your dominance, but dries up in your passivity. She claims to want equality, but her biology is wired for hierarchy. The more you echo her pain, the less she trusts your strength. The more you flatter her image, the more she doubts your depth. Love, to her, is a stage, and she cannot fall for the man who recites his lines. She needs the one who breaks the script entirely. She does not lie maliciously. She lies because the truth threatens her illusion of goodness, and she needs to feel good to justify the chaos she brings. The chaos you thought was accidental, no. It was sacred to her. It made her feel real, made her feel powerful. Every accusation, every storm, every silent treatment was a test. Will you hold? Will you remain? Will you shatter? You shattered, not because you were weak, but because you tried to be pure. You tried to give her what she said she needed instead of becoming what she secretly worships. And so she left. Or maybe she stayed, but colder, quieter, further. You became her mirror, not her mystery. And a woman does not sleep with her mirror. She worships what confuses her. She undresses for what threatens her. She offers herself only to the man who refuses to be molded. You see, the lie is not just in her words, it's in her gaze, in her timing, in the way she clings, then retreats, in the way she says, "I love you," right after punishing your truth. She wants you, but only if she can break you first, not because she is evil, but because breaking you proves her power. And if she can break you and you still remain unshaken, then and only then will she feel safe enough to love you. This is the theater of her love, a stage of veils, symbols, reversals. She is both priestess and trickster, virgin and seductress, victim and executioner. You enter thinking she will worship you, but she is there to test your faith, to demand your soul, then mock its purity, to crown you king, then poison your cup. And if you drink it without flinching, if you laugh at the bitterness and ask for more, then her illusions crack. Then, finally, she sees you, not as an echo, but as a man. And that is when she begins to surrender, not with grace, but with terror. Because now she is no longer in control. Now she must become real. Now her tactics fall, her words fail, her body betrays her. The mirror shatters, and she sees herself naked, wanting, wild in your eyes. Not as a goddess, not as a victim, but as the animal she has always been. And that truth terrifies her more than any betrayal. So she will run, or she will fight, or she will stay and tremble, but whatever she does next, it will be raw. No longer performance, no longer projection. And if you remain in that fire unflinching, unrepentant, she will either become your deepest devotion or your most beautiful ruin. But you cannot bring her there with softness. You cannot awaken her by appeasing her image of love. You must walk through the mirror she holds up. You must shatter every lie she clings to. You must become the one man who refuses to be defined by her feelings. And if she loves you after that, it will not be out of need. It will not be because you fit her fantasy. It will be because, for the first time, she has seen something stronger than her illusion. A man. She does not want your soul. She wants your crown. She wants the part of you that stands above her, not because you belittle her, but because you refuse to kneel. She needs to feel the presence of a man who does not beg for her love, who does not contort himself to soothe her storms, who does not become small in her shadow. And once she finds him, once she tastes that power, she will do what she has always done. She will try to destroy him, not with weapons, but with worship, not with malice, but with love. Because love, for her, is not surrender, it is leverage. Every kiss is a hook, every compliment, a chain, every moan, a rehearsal for control. You think she yields because she trusts you. No, she yields to see how quickly you become addicted. She yields to see if you mistake pleasure for loyalty. And the moment you do, the moment you reach for her like a drowning man for air, she knows you are hers, and not in the way that makes her feel safe, in the way that makes her feel disgusted. You didn't notice it at first, the way her tone changed after you confessed how much you needed her, the way she touched you less after you opened your chest and placed your heart in her hands, the way her eyes lost that reverent gleam once she saw you abandon your crown for her approval. She didn't want that kind of devotion. She wanted to fight God, not marry a servant. You were not supposed to fall. You were supposed to tower, to remain still in her storms, to be the unmovable point around which she could unravel. Instead, you became soft, too honest, too available, too worshipful. And she, having finally conquered what she once revered, did what conquerors always do. She desecrated the altar, because no woman truly loves the God who steps down from his throne to walk beside her. She loves the one who remains above, silent, watching, untouchable even in the intimacy she pretends to crave. You think this is cruelty? It is not. It is ritual, archetype, biology beneath language. The feminine does not know who she is until she destroys what she once adored, until she tests the absolute limit of your strength, not to see if you break, but to see if you remain after breaking. She will offer you paradise with one hand and poison with the other, and if you drink both, if you swallow her sweetness and her venom without flinching, she will finally see you, not as a man, as a god, but only for a moment. Because the moment she sees divinity in you, her instincts awaken. She must make you human again. She must test, provoke, seduce, wound. Not because she hates you, but because she cannot rest until your power has been humbled by her touch. She wants to see if the fire in you burns for her alone, or if it is the kind of fire that consumes everything, even her. And when she finds out it does, when she sees that your glory is not contingent on her worship, something in her cracks. She is terrified, she is aroused, she is in love, not the love she pretends to know, the deeper one, the love that rises only when the feminine meets something it cannot control and yet cannot destroy. That love is sacred, but it is not safe, because once she tastes it, she will try to bury it. She will turn on you with tears, with silence, with longing dressed as betrayal. She will push you away just to see if your presence collapses without her. And if it does, she wins. But she also dies inside, because now she knows you were a god only in costume. This is her ritual, to crown you, then crucify you, to weep at the altar she herself set on fire, and in those ashes she watches to see what rises. If you crawl back to her, she will pity you. If you rage, she will fear you. But if you simply stand unchanged, undiminished, she will worship you, silently, forever, even if she never returns. You must understand this. She does not want a partner. She wants an axis. She wants to spin around something stronger than herself. And if you are that axis, she will orbit in chaos and beauty, testing your gravity until the end of time. But if you fall into her orbit, if you become the moon to her tides, she will devour you, lovingly, slowly, without remorse. This is not personal, it is not gendered, it is ancient, it is myth. Every goddess was born from the blood of a fallen titan. Every queen carries the hunger of a girl who once knelt before a father who abandoned his throne. She seeks now what she lost, then not comfort, but awe. And if you cannot inspire it, you are nothing but a distraction. You try to reason with her. Fool. You speak of love as if it is mutual, as if it is fair, as if it can be negotiated. But love is war in her blood, and she has been trained to win. Not with logic, but with illusion. Not with strength, but with softness that cuts deeper than any blade. She does not want equality. She wants elevation. She wants you to rise so high that her own reflection disappears, and then she wants to climb you like a temple, barefoot, bleeding, desperate for salvation. But she will not tell you this. She will tell you she wants presence, vulnerability, tenderness, and the moment you give it too easily, she will pull away. Not because you were wrong, but because she didn't have to earn it, because it did not cost her illusion, because she saw that her tears could buy your truth, and that made it worthless. She wants to sacrifice something real, her pride, her masks, her fears. She wants to bow only after the battle has broken her and you are still standing. She wants to surrender in blood, not in comfort. She wants the kind of love that scars. If you are not willing to become that altar, you will never know her. You will know her body, you will know her laughter, but you will not touch her soul. Because that part of her is buried beneath centuries of lies, curled around a single, terrible truth she wants to lose, but only to a man who never asked to win. And when she finds him, if she finds him, she will not say, "Thank you." She will say nothing. She will weep, or vanish, or kneel without a word. And in that silence, the game ends. She has found her God, and killed him, and waited to see if he rises. She stands over the ashes of your altar, barefoot, silent, unblinking. The crown she tore from your head rests in her hands not as trophy, but as mirror. Around her, the world is quiet, no music, no language, only the memory of a man who did not kneel. You are no longer there, or perhaps you never were. Only the shadow of your gaze remains pressed into the walls of her ribs like a haunting she cannot name. She touches the wound you left not on her skin, but on the veil she wore between herself and truth. It bleeds light, and now she waits, not for your return, but for your echo, for the sound that does not comfort, only confirms. Somewhere beyond her reach, a flame keeps burning. It does not flicker, it does not beg, it does not die, and in its silence, she worships